One of my best friends, man. We go hunting all the time, and we always talk about the aventuras, the adventures that we go on of Mapache and Nadia. We went on a hunting trip, and we were in the bunkhouse right there. In the middle of the night, he's like gasping and panting and like shaking in his bed, and it wakes me up. I think he's having a heart attack, dying. I'm like, Jesus, what's up? Like, get busted! Like, what's going on, bro? Uh, and he's not talking, and then like it gets quiet, and I'm thinking, gosh, he just died.
Welcome to Wildlife Outdoors with your host, Russell and Jose. If you have a passion for conservation of the outdoors, or you're enjoying a calming hike in the mountains, an exhilarating kayak trip on the river, feeling a fish on the end of your line, cooking on an open flame in a primitive campsite, or stalking big game, just waiting for the perfect shot, you're in the right place. So put on your boots and polarized sunglasses and come along for the ride.
Welcome back to another episode of Wildlife Outdoors. Today's guest has lived a life shaped by service, discipline, and faith. His journey spans military service, seminary studies, and a deep commitment to living with purpose. Whether we're talking faith, leadership, the outdoors, or what it means to be living grounded in a chaotic world, Stephen Gadberry brings insight and honesty that challenges you to think deeper. Stephen, welcome to Wildlife Outdoors.
Hey, Russ, thanks a lot, man. We've been trying to get this to happen. I'm glad it's finally working.
Hey, you're the first recording I've done in the new year, so I can't think of a better way to start the new year off.
Yeah, man. Hey, it's an honor, man. I'm grateful for it. Thank you.
And I appreciate you hopping on. So I guess for the listeners, if there's any of them that don't know who you are, if you could give a brief introduction about yourself.
Yeah, I guess the short form is just I'm just a knucklehead dude like everyone else that loves the outdoors. I guess the longer version is I was born and raised in the Arkansas Delta, about an hour west of Memphis, Tennessee, on a rice and soybean farm. And went to, after graduating high school, went to college for a year and hated it. And then I went to the military and loved it. That took me to Texas, Germany, Central Iraq. I went in for a special ops job and it just didn't make the cut. Ended up in logistics, and I was so upset about that, but it ended up being such a blessing to get that. It allowed me to do some super cool stuff. So I did logistics all throughout the military, and that's just moving people and things is all it is, which is pretty impressive in the military.
Mhm.
And the while I was in the military, I heard the calling, you could say, to ministry. And I've always been a man of faith, a man of family, a man of hard work. So I heard the calling in 2008. I got out of the military and started seminary, or the preparations to become a priest, a Catholic priest, and I studied 4 years of philosophy and then 4 years of theology. My philosophy was down in southern Louisiana with the Benedictine monks of St. Joseph's Abbey. So if you think of like in movies, you see the monks with like the black robes and the hoods, and they're chanting all the time. I was with those guys. It was pretty epic,
Wow.
man. Dude, it was so cool. And then after that, if that wasn't cool enough, I went to Rome. I was at the Vatican for 4 years, and that was really cool studying theology there with people from all over the world. 2016, I was ordained a priest, a Catholic priest, and I've been in Arkansas since then, just doing
Wow.
ministry, man. I'm currently in Little Rock, Arkansas at St. Teresa Catholic Church. And we usually name our churches after different saints, people, Christians who have come before us that have given us a good example. And I'm here. We got a church and a school. I love it. It keeps me really busy. We're around 11,000 people. And
Wow.
what and when I'm not busy here, I love anything. I love hunting. Man, I love hunting anything that's in season. I prefer big game or nuisance animals. So it could be white-tailed deer, elk, bear. Love hunting all those exotics in Texas. I love that stuff, but also like the nuisance animals, whether it be a raccoon, a possum, a coyote, or in some places, turtles, if turtles are a nuisance and messing up your ponds, get them, or muskrats, or any of those. I just enjoy that stuff. So hunting, anything hunting. Love archery, compound and traditional. Really love traditional archery. I love guns. Got probably too many, but the shepherd has to protect his flock. So
Ain't
no,
that the truth?
so you got a fascination with guns, especially with lever actions. Recently, I had some really cool connections with Henry. and have just gone deep with Henry lever actions, all calibers. I love those things. I got 2 dogs, and I love working out, and I love making knives. And so if I'm not doing church stuff, I'm either hunting or making knives or working out, and that's about it. So that's me in a nutshell.
That's freaking awesome. Yeah, I mean, I've been following you on social media for quite a while, and it's crazy because if you look at your page without actually looking at any of the priesthood stuff that you post, you would think that you're just a regular knife making, deer hunting, weightlifting, beer drinking dude. Which I guess, I mean, I don't know much about Catholicism, to be completely honest. I'm a baby Christian myself, more on the Protestant side of things, and I just I don't know what a Catholic priest would be like, but to me, seeing you, you don't seem like the stereotypical Catholic priest, you know?
Yeah. Well, cool. Yeah, it's man, praise God, man. Welcome to the journey, dude. Christ is king. And
Absolutely.
that's the only way, man. I'm glad to hear that for you. Yeah, I don't really fit the mold, but that doesn't mean like I'm rebellious or
Yeah.
I try to be dumb or different. I just try to be me. There's a saint from so for reference, like a saint is anyone that the church would recognize as, basically, to put it short, like somebody who was a they did it good and they give us a good example. So basically it's like the MVPs or the Hall of Fames, like, hey, do what these people did and you'll probably be all right. There was this one from Italy, Siena in Italy. Her name was Saint Catherine. Catherine
Mhm.
of Siena is what they call her. And she's got this saying. It's be who God made you to be, and you'll set the world on fire. And
I like
so,
that.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love my stop button either broke when I was a kid or God didn't put one in me because I don't know how to stop. And so every day I'm just hammering along, you just crushing it. And God works through it, man.
That's awesome. Well, I mean, to me, it seems like he's done wonders in your life, but it makes it a lot more personable, because I mean, there's people that in my past that I've met that were a part of the church, different denominations that I could see how I could have been called to the church and actually started my faith journey at that point. And looking back now, like it wasn't God's timing, but there's many people that kind of almost had a holier than thou kind of feel to them. And I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes those are the people that push people away from the church. So you just being you, I'm sure has been far more successful, not only for you, but for, growing God's kingdom than
Yeah.
you just trying to act any way that what you're not.
Yeah, well, I mentioned the saints, the people that give us the examples, and Christ, of course, is the greatest. And I mean, who else other than God Himself, who is beyond all things, wants to just come into the chaos of this world? So He jumped into the mess of daily life. And so, in a nutshell, I try to jump into the chaos of daily life and be with people because, man, my life is broken, my family's broken, but we're trying every day, just like everyone else. And so, if I can just be with them and say, hey, you know what, your life is crazy, and so is mine, and we're going to be okay. Let's
Yeah.
keep going.
That's awesome. I love that. So you talked a little bit at the very beginning about your upbringing. You don't have to go into your full story, but I've seen quite a few things out there about you, and I've seen you on other podcasts and watched the documentary that was made about you. And so from an early age, it seems like there was a lot of hardship in your life, and something that was very major. Do you think that had a big part to play in you eventually finding your faith and going down this path, or was there something else in your life that you think attributed to your calling?
Yeah, Russ, that's a great question, man. Really good question. So, just a little background. So I grew up in a poor family, but we always made ends meet. And but at a very early age, when I was 8 years old. My dad and older sister died in a car wreck, and me and my little baby sister were with them. My older sister was 11. Dad was just 32. So they were. My sister was a
Wow.
baby. Dad was 32. He was a young guy. They both died, and me and my little sister are there as they're dying, and that's hard, man. And so then you grow up as, I was the oldest kid after that, the oldest boy of the house, the man of the house, you could say, the oldest kid. And man, my mom was just such a good example. Like she never stopped. And so that she just kind of taught me to never stop and do whatever you got to do to make it happen. And so from an early age, I just kind of, you or some of your listeners may like hear, like Cameron Haynes, keep hammering. And he was just like, wake up and just keep hammering, and, or, into the storm kind of stuff. And so, yeah, from an early age, difficulties came. It was that. And then, but I mean, you can do two things. You can sit on your butt and be a victim and cry about it, but that doesn't get you anywhere. Or you can say, you know what, this still sucks, but let's try something. And worst case scenario, it's an adventure. And so that's what I've done. It's either been we figure it out or it was just a fun ride, So it's win-win.
Well, it seems like you having to grow up, at an early age kind of has transformed in numerous facets of your life. But the things that you do are like the manly things that men do, lifting weights and making knives and hunting and stuff like that. So, did you have any influences in your life that led you to do those things, or how did you come about all of those things?
Yeah, man, you got some good questions, Russ. That's really good.
Appreciate it.
So my family wasn't really a hunting family, and they weren't a fitness family. They didn't exercise. They just worked every day. I mean, you grew up on a farm, right? The crops don't care if you're having a good day or bad day. Like, all right, you gotta show up at the field, and if you don't, then the crops don't grow, or you don't have a good harvest, and then you don't get the pay for the crops. So therefore, your whole family's in a hole for the next 12 months. And so you just got to show up whether you want to or not. And so the biggest example was my grandpa. His name's Herman Joseph. He's passed away, but he was one of the quietest human beings that I know and one of the hardest working men that I know. And I was talking to somebody just the other day about this. A memory I have just burned in my brain were his hands. Was that he ran the farm and he was also a diesel mechanic. His hands were the most calloused hands of any human being I know. And there was always grease under his nails and all the cracks of his hands. Didn't matter how much he took a bath or washed his hands, they were marked with work. And I remember being a little kid and seeing that and thinking, man, I never want to have soft hands. I don't want to make it like more than what it is, but I don't think a man needs to have soft hands. And the only
Yeah.
way to have calluses is by, putting the hands through work. That could be literal or it could be, like a spiritual or metaphorically meaning. A man, if he's going to provide for the family, take care of his wife and his kids, protect his sheep, he's gotta be ready to work. And so Grandpa Herman Joseph, he was the biggest influence, and after that, a couple of uncles, and Uncle Rob and, another guy, Uncle Greg, both of them. Greg ran the farm, and I remember working with him one day. It was one summertime, and, it was hot, we're sweating, but I remember him working on this combine, we were changing a bearing, and he's turning the wrench, his arm is, like, glistening from the sweat, and but what I remember was sweat, literally, I was watching it come off his forehead, down his nose, and just dripping off his nose, just steadily off his nose. But that doesn't seem like a big thing. But at the time, I was about a 10-year-old boy, and I was thinking, man, he's working hard. And I want to work like that.
Yeah.
I want to have sweat dripping. I want calloused hands. And so those men really took the place. I had some other really good mentors as well, but those stand out.
That's awesome. Yeah, there's been a few men in my life that have showed me what hard work is, and I grew up in a family where my dad wasn't around, and so it was mainly just me and my mom, and so a lot of the things that we did on a daily basis were more on the feminine side of things, and I didn't really have a good bearing for what hard work was until when I was in my teenage years. My mom started dating a man that I now call my dad, and I'm actually oddly enough closer with him and his family than I am any of my blood family. And he was a pillar of hard work for me, and he did everything from, picking himself up by the bootstraps basically, and he didn't even have a high school education, but he did something with himself, and he's a business owner and just a hardworking man, and he instilled a lot of that into me. And even though it was kind of like later on, I was already a teenager, I finally got to see what hard work does. And what I do now for work is I'm part of an engineering team for a telecommunications company. So I don't really get out in the field too often, do a lot of drafting and design stuff. But any chance that I get out there and actually do manual labor or physically work, I just soak it up. And I mean, there's projects where we hire contractors to come do things, and I'm still there waist deep in the mud, pouring concrete, building frames, doing electrical work, just because there's just something I think innately within us that wants us to be able to work that way and do things with our hands and just be able to have the ability to provide for us and ourselves and our families and things of that nature. So it's like that's what God built us to do, obviously. So you can just kind of feel that when you're actually doing it.
It's so good. And, some people, I'm sure you got some listeners who maybe have an office job and they hunt, they do outside stuff, but they can't do a lot of like sweaty manual labor stuff. Like, all right, cool. That don't make you less of a man. Like, I think even deeper than the hard work is the fact that God made men to intentionally choose discomfort for the sake of their family. And so there's a lot of ways to make yourself uncomfortable for the sake of loving your family.
Absolutely. Not only that, but to grow God's kingdom. Right now, we're in a time at my church of prayer and fasting, and I am a foodie through and through. I love food. I could talk about food for hours. I could talk about food for days probably. And it's going through a period of fasting and prayer, which this is the first time that I've ever done it as a part of a church. It's difficult. And they've at last weekend service, they talked about giving yourself up and sacrificing things. And, of course, the alliteration of that comes through Jesus. But there's a lot of ways that I've never even thought about, sacrificing things to myself. I've lived in the secular world majority of my life. I mean, I'm 32 years old right now, and I found my faith when I was like, I got baptized the day before my 31st birthday. So I've
Awesome.
lived 90% of my life, secular and, with only carnal things on the mind. And, it puts a lot of things into perspective to learn what sacrifice is, not only for my family as a single father, but also just in my spiritual sense as well.
Praise God, man. That's
Yeah,
cool. Praise God.
that's amazing. It's crazy how my worldview has changed just in the past year, but I wouldn't change it. I mean, I'm a completely different person now, and I mean, I fall all the time on a daily basis.
Welcome to the
It's
club.
it's a path that I'm happy I'm on, but it definitely is difficult. Speaking, in terms of the world that we currently reside in, not the world that we're hoping to go to. So,
Yeah. Man, every human being, I don't care who you are, every human being is a professional at falling down, but the saints are professionals at getting back up. We just, I mean, hey, get used to falling down, buddy.
hey,
Do a
as long as
bird,
we're
do a
falling
burpee,
forward,
and
right?
get back up, man.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. So after you went to seminary, so you graduated, you went to college, you didn't like college. I've heard you say in the past in different interviews that you're like, school and studies just aren't for me. And then you ended up going to seminary and you really enjoyed it. What do you think the difference was between like academics and just seminary?
Man, that's a good question too. I hated school, man. Actually, no, let me back up. I didn't hate school. Grade school was fun. Man, if God could send me back through kindergarten through 12th grade again, bro, I'd do it. I'd do it 5 more times, man. It was just fun. I was a good kid. But after, you're in school from kindergarten to 12th grade. You're like, "Bro, man, that's enough school, ain't it? Like, let's just work, dude. Let's go to work." Especially by that age, like, I was still young, but I was competent, and so I
Oh, yeah.
knew I had a lot of good mechanical skills. I didn't have, like, the diploma skills, but I had the labor skills, and I was like, "Man, this don't make sense." And then you go to college and you're excited, like, you're finally graduated high school and you're ready to, "Let's get after it." And they're like, "Hey, well, we got a year or 2 years of basics." And you're like, "That's pretty dumb." Okay, yeah, I get the understanding, I know it's important, but let's jump into it. And so it just didn't resonate with me. My heart wasn't there. I was just like a horse that was in the stable and I just couldn't run, and I was just kicking the bucket, man. I'm like, we gotta go, man. I need some oats. I need to run. I need to do something." So I went to
Um,
yeah, then I went to the military. As I mentioned, I went in to do like a special ops job within the Air Force. I thought I was prepared for it, but I didn't make the cut. And that really opened my eyes. Like it was like, Steven, you can work hard, but there's an even deeper and darker place, not in the muscles, but in the heart and the head that you need to go into. And so I dug in when it came to the schooling and the training, and that's when it became a competition. When I got washed out of the special ops thing and then got put in logistics, I was like, I'm not gonna fail any of this. Finished with honors, top of the class, and second in the class. And me and this other guy, we were from New Mexico. We were going back and forth every week. Um, but finished with high honors, was great. So anyhow, that kind of brought me up through my time in the military, and then when I went to seminary, just because like God made it really clear. He was like, I really want you to do this, Stephen. And I was like, all right, let's drop the nets and go, man. Let's do it. And I'm like a dog chasing the ball. If I know what the ball is, boy, I'll chase it all day. And so once God made it clear on my heart that this is what he wanted me to do, Roger that, sir. We're going, buddy. And so I just showed up and studied, and it was fun, man. It was a new challenge. And so I don't know what the switch was or what flipped in my brain, but um it was just I don't know, getting yeah, just hitting that challenge and chasing it.
So how did you know that God was calling you? Like, I feel like everybody hears from God in different ways. And if you are that sure to where you're going to leave a military career, what was it that just really solidified it for you?
Man, I don't know what you did to prepare these questions or if it's all impromptu, but God's working, man. That's another good question because I think a lot of our unhappiness as human beings is because we're uncertain about stuff. Now, there's a lot of things in life that are a mystery. And so I guess the point I'm wanting to get at is that the issue is not it's not so much knowing what we want to do or don't want to do. The problem is an issue of discernment or, trying to figure out actually, yeah, discernment is different than deciding. I can decide whether I want a Coke or a Pepsi. Do I want to do endurance today? Do I want to go for a run or do I want to lift weights? Like, okay, you decide that. But discernment, so it's like another level of deciding. And in particular, like it's making a decision that's going to affect the rest of your life. And discernment requires you to not simply weigh the options, but also weigh the consequences too. And I think very often we weigh our options without considering the consequences. And every decision that we make, we got to be willing to give something up. But in the million things that we give up, it allows us to give a wholehearted yes to the one thing that we say yes to. And that's where you find freedom. So often we think that freedom comes with choices, but it actually doesn't. Freedom comes through decision, through commitment, through covenant. That's the biblical word, covenant. Like God covenants himself to us, like he makes this covenant that can't be broken. And so committing ourselves to that. So to bring it back to your question, like how did I know? At this kind of level of our soul, it's a different kind of knowledge. Like, for example, you talked about your mom raising you. Does your mom love you? Like, yeah. You would say, yeah. How do you know? Like, if I could ask you how you would know, and you would talk about 100,000 ways, different ways that she loves you. Okay, great. That's a way that she loves you, but how do you know that she loves you? Like, man, I, okay, she does this stuff, but I just know my mom loves me. But the knowledge that mom loves me is different than 2 + 2 = 4. I know 2 + 2 = 4. Okay, that doesn't do anything in my heart. Whenever I think about 2 + 2 = 4 versus my family loves me, my God loves me, my kids love me, whoever loves me, there's a different kind of peace. And that whenever you know that, for example, mom loves you, if I'm gonna keep using that example, she could call you at any time of the day. And if it's like if she calls at like 2 a.m. and says, "Hey son, I want some macaroni and cheese," you'll probably say, "All right, tomorrow I'll bring you some." But if it's something serious, like, "Hey honey, I'm at the hospital." You're in the truck before you can even hang up the phone. "I'm on my way, mom. I'm coming." Like you're on the way. There's something different about the kind of conviction. So I don't want to go too deep into this, but in Spanish, there's like two kinds of knowing. Like one is saber and the other is conocer. To saber something, like this is oversimplifying it, but to saber is like to know it in the head. Like uh, that Little Rock is in Arkansas. I know that 2 + 2 = 4. Conocer, whenever I talk about conocer, I talk about like, I know my mom. I know you. I know my mom differently than I know 2 + 2 = 4. Saber is in the head and conocer is in the heart. So that's a super duper duper crazy long answer. Just to say, there's some things that we can't really explain, but after we've thought about it and prayed about it enough, we have this unshaking certainty within us where we say, come hell or high water, I'm doing this, and I'll drop all my nets. I'll sell everything because I've got the conviction this is it. So that was a really long tangent. I'm sorry it went so long, but um,
You're good.
it was just like this undeniable like peace that I had. As much fun as I had in the military, I was having a blast, man, blast. And then I was like, no, this is going to be even funner, and I'm going to go do it. So a long answer, sorry, but I figured it was
You're good.
important.
That's amazing. So, didn't you have to get out of the military early to pursue?
Yeah. And so you asked about how I knew. There's a lot of different stuff. I prayed about it, talked to a ton of people. One of the big things was this was 2007. I had a security clearance, hazardous material handling clearance. Like I was really good at what I did in my base in Germany, which was basically the door for everything going to the Middle East during a big wartime. And I was like, all right, God, I know that like me and my position in this office, like I'm an asset with the other guys around me. So if you want me to go, if this is your will, you're gonna have to make it happen. So I submitted the application to separate early, separated about a year early. And I was like, God, all right, if you want this to happen, do it. Submitted the paperwork, and 10 days later, like I got the
Wow.
approval. Yeah, I got the approval back from Uncle Sam saying, hey, it's been approved. Which nothing happens in 10 days in the military.
Man, that's amazing. That's absolutely a sign. There's been times where I pray for a sign and I don't seem to get signs that clear. I feel I feel like that one, if I was in your shoes, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's it."
I still pray for signs, and God's like, nope, you're not getting one. You know what you
Yeah.
got to do. Do it. Ah, God,
Yeah.
come on.
Exactly. I'm not gonna give you the answer. You're gonna work your way through it and you're gonna get to the answer. Hey, but that's what this life is all about, right?
It's fun.
That's awesome. Now I'd like to tell you about a couple of our sponsors. First, we have Bucked Up. When you're out in the wild, whether you're stalking a trophy buck, casting for that elusive bass, or trekking through rugged terrain, you need more than just grit. You need fuel that matches your passion for the outdoors. That's where Bucked Up energy drinks and supplements come in. Crafted for those who live life on the edge, Bucked Up offers a range of products designed to enhance your performance, endurance, and recovery. From the early morning hunts to the late night fishing trips, Bucked Up has your back. Use promo code WLO20 at checkout to receive 20% off your order. Explore their full range of products by clicking on the link in the description. Next, we have Foretold Coffee Company. Start your adventure with a brew as bold as the journey ahead. Foretold Coffee Company crafts ethically sourced small batch roast for those who find peace in the wild. Founded by Army veteran Joshua Sandoval, each cup reflects resilience, exploration, and the spirit of the outdoors. Whether it's the light Peruvian cocoa, the medium El Salvadoran bourbon, or the dark Mexican honey, each cup is perfect for the base camp mornings or fireside evenings. Subscribe to their monthly coffee club for 10% off and stay fueled for every expedition. To learn more, visit foretoldcoffeeco.com. So you talked a little bit about, those two Spanish words. So you know quite a few languages, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. I'm so probably 90% of the people at my church speak Spanish, so I speak more Spanish than I do English throughout the week. So fully fluent in Spanish. When I was in Italy, going to school over there for those 4 years, all the classes for those 4 years were in Italian. So having classes in Italian, taking exams in Italian. And over in Europe, it's an oral exam. You have one oral exam at the end of the semester. You get 15 minutes to take your test on whether or not you pass that class or not. That's stressful. It's all
Wow.
they ask you anything. So Spanish, Italian, I guess like formally studied in school also Latin, Greek, and Hebrew. I'm still learning English since I'm from Cross County, Arkansas, but I've been practicing it. I got my Duolingo.
That's awesome. So when did you have to start learning languages throughout your seminary studies, or did you already have an affinity for learning languages prior to that?
No, not really. I've always been interested in the human person, just people. I'm just like, for example, like people watching, like not in a weird way, but like at the airport. Like if you go to the airport or somewhere, like just watching people is fun because we're all just a bunch of goober heads, just doing our thing. And I say it in an endearing way, but
Yeah, yeah.
but we're all just knuckleheads. But it really started when I was in seminary before the Italian, like learning Spanish because if you want to if you want to love a people, you got to know a people. And when you know a people, like you learn the language. So often we think, I got to learn the language and then I'll get to know the people. But it's the other way around. If you want to learn the language, don't worry about the words. Meet the people, spend time with the people, hang out with the people. The language will come. Kids learn to talk in 2 years, 1 year. So if you spend 1 or 2 years with the people, you'll be speaking it in no time.
Absolutely. I've noticed that the things that I learn the best and the quickest are when I'm immersed in it, when I'm surrounded by it, whether it be a language or a task or anything like that. So learning by immersion is definitely the way. I mean, that's just the human nature to learn. Like you said, humans learn to talk in 1 to 2 years, and that's just because of the world they live in. And there's all these different languages, but whatever they're living in is what they're going to learn first. So it definitely makes
Yeah.
sense. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah, I'm the same type of person. I love to sit there and people watch. I'll sit at a park or the airport or wherever I'm at, grocery store. I'm always watching people, and I mean it's for numerous reasons. I had a difficult childhood, and for safety reasons, I'm always aware of where the exit's at and what people are doing, and watching, making sure that I'm just safe and my family's safe. But on top of that, I just like looking at people and seeing what they're doing and what their little world is like, and thinking about what they're thinking about or the actions that they're taking. And I think that's kind of part of why I love food so much too, because everybody eats. So I just like majority of the time when I'm cooking a meal that I want, it's never American food. It's never burgers. It's never hot dogs. Like it's tikka masala, or it's going to be some type of Italian food, or Greek food, Mediterranean food. Like I'm always cooking something ethnic. And so yeah, I think that's a lot of it too, is it's my commonality to other people, and how I can relate to people that are different than me.
Heck yeah. You got to come over. We'll find a time this spring for you to come over. We'll cook a big old meal. We'll hang out
Oh,
and do
that'd be
some cooking.
awesome. I'd love to throw down in the kitchen with you. So do you do much I mean, obviously you hunt a lot. Do much wild game cooking or anything like that?
But yeah, I try to eat as much venison as I can. Usually that's most of the red meat that I'll eat throughout the year is venison. You're from Arkansas too, so we get 6 deer a year, 6 tags. I usually try to tag out for all six.
Mhm.
Um, and I've gotten three this year, but I've gotten a bunch of deer and animals in other states too. So I don't want to just take them just for the sake of taking them. But
Right, right.
yeah, I just love cooking venison, and that's probably the biggest meat that I eat. I was eating some just a couple hours ago. Yeah, so yeah, the short answer, yeah, cook with that. Yeah.
That's awesome. So do you have any memorable hunts when you just think about all the hunts that you've done in the past few years? Do you have any that just really stand out?
Ooh, man, short answer, yeah. A year ago, got my first deer with a traditional bow. That was really fun. It was this really cool doe. It was an old doe, and she was gray, but what was really cool is like from the side of her ribs up to the top of her back was black, 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 and
Really?
she had a line of two dots down her whole back, like a fawn. It was
Wow.
so beautiful. I still have the skin, and beautiful deer. That was a fun hunt. Um, One of my best friends, his name is Jesus, which is kind of funny because like Jesus is my best friend. He's my savior, but also got a Mexican Jesus. His name's Jesus. One of my best friends, man. We go hunting all the time, and we always talk about the aventuras, the adventures that we go on of Mapache and Ardilla. So we call him the Mapache, the raccoon, and me the squirrel. But we went on a hunting trip, and just he got the worst cramps that he could in the middle of the night. And we were in the bunkhouse right there. In the middle of the night, he's like gasping and panting and like shaking in his bed, and it wakes me up. I think he's having a heart attack, dying. I'm like, Jesus, what's up? Like, get pasa, like, what's going on, bro? Uh, and he's not talking. And then like it gets quiet, and I'm thinking, oh gosh, he just died. And then he starts laughing, and I'm like, "What, dude? What is going on?" He's like, "I just had some cramps and I couldn't move." And you know, that the same thing. We were down in some bottoms and some creeks doing some scouting, and I was about 10 feet in front of him. We're making our way through this creek bed, and I see some tracks, and I'm like, "Hey, Jesus, look, there's some tracks right here." And he's like, he starts talking like Daffy Duck. What's what's going? But he sucked a mosquito down his throat, and and it couldn't get out. And then we laughed for 20 minutes. So that one, I always got the memory of him. We and another hunt that he and I did, we were hunting. We had a guide. It was not the guy that we usually hunt with. It was a new place, a new guide. And this guy came out, it was like probably 5 o'clock, 5:45 or so before we go out in the morning. And the elk hunt. Dude was in blue jeans and a white t-shirt. And we're like, oh, okay, maybe he's gonna change when we get to the trail. No, he wore blue jeans and a white t-shirt. And we're like, man,
Really?
we'll guide ourselves, man.
Man. Man, hunting with friends it always seems to improve it. I mean, I love going out in the woods. Like, I'll go out and sit in the woods for hours by myself and not have an issue with it. Same thing with fishing. I fish more than I hunt actually, but it's, doing it by myself is fine, but going out with friends, it's just that camaraderie just adds a whole nother level to it. And, your story with Jesus about the mosquito kind of reminds me of a time my co-host Jose. We were out dove hunting in South Texas one time, and it was, I mean, I think we were out there for probably 3-4 hours, saw maybe 2 birds the whole time, and they're flying a mile
Oh,
high.
that's
And it was
terrible.
just
They're always
hot.
there.
Yeah, it was a rough hunt. I mean, we got so bored at one point, we just started picking up cow patties and skeet shooting with them. We're like, we drove out here, might as well, at least fire some shells. So we were just ski shooting with cow patties, and we get back to the truck, and there was these 2 wasps that had flown in the truck while we were putting our guns away, and we're like, "Oh, crap, I don't wanna just be driving with them in there." So we saw one of them fly out, and one of them flew behind the back seat of my truck, and we just didn't think nothing of it. And, so we go and we drive probably an hour, hour and a half back to his house. We're hanging out, like, with his brother for a few hours, get back in the truck, completely forgot about this wasp. And we're driving, and we pull off out of his neighborhood, and we get on the street, and I don't even remember what the story was. I was telling him a story, and right when I said, "I'm gonna do this," that wasp came out of nowhere and flew inside my glasses, and I just freaked out, started slapping the glasses off my face. I break the little lanyard thing that I had on them, and they fly across the truck. And Jose's thinking that I'm saying, like, that's what I'm gonna do whenever what part of the story was. So he was confused. He looked at me like, "What the hell?" Had to grab the steering wheel because we are gonna drive off the road. It was like a whole thing. And he's like, "What was that?" And I was like, "The damn wasp." But I mean, I don't know how it went directly between the glasses and my eyeball and was right there. Scared the crap out of me. Almost drove us off a
Miracle
cliff
he
that
didn't
day.
sting you.
Right. I'm glad it didn't. I've been lit up by some wasps before. But
And
yeah,
yeah, you got
good
a
times.
lot of public land around you too. You get hunting over there some?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the only hunting I've ever done. So I started learning how to hunt last year. So I have yet to harvest any large game. We used to do, I mean, growing up, with Jose when I was right after, probably in high school, a little bit in high school and after high school when we were in college, we would go and do a lot of dove hunting. But other than that, that's really the only hunting that I did. And so last year I said, you know what? I need to start, hunting because we've had quite a few people on the podcast that hunt. And it's like, man, that just sounds like so much fun. And I've just never done it. But it's kind of one of those things where the barrier to entry, like mentally, is more difficult. Anybody can go and get a bobber and a Zebco and catch a fish. And then, you can grow from there. But to me, it seems like the barrier of entry for hunting in terms of, getting a firearm and hunter safety and understanding the animal and being a good enough outdoorsman to really get within range and things of that nature it was just daunting for me. So then I took the next step and said, okay, well, I'm going to learn how to hunt by doing public land archery. So I mean,
Good.
so that's how I started last year. I've learned a lot since then. I've learned a lot just about deer in general, just from being out in the woods and learning them. Last year I had more opportunity than I have this year so far. I didn't go out rifle season this year, so it's all been archery, public land in the Ouachita Mountains. So I'm hoping within this next month and a half before season ends, I'm going to be able to get out there and really hit it hard public land archery and hopefully be able to harvest one this year. But it's been difficult. I was hunting a WMA last year and I had a few opportunities to take some young deer, and I said, I don't want to take a young buck or a young doe, yearlings or anything like that. But this year, I mean, just to put some meat in the freezer, if that's all I get and it's at the very end of season, I just might.
Yeah, hey, and there's no shame in that, especially in a state like ours, like where I'm gonna go out and hunt some more, even though I've got meat. I still plan on taking as many deer as I can to because I want to share. Like I give a ton of meat away to the people at the church, a ton. But like our state, they want us to take them, and so yeah, there's no shame in that. Yeah, we'll get on we'll text back and forth and get on a phone call after this. Let's get you on some deer.
I'd
think I
love
can
that.
help you with some. Yeah.
I'd love that. So you talked a little bit about deer and elk and bear hunting earlier. Have you harvested a bear?
No bears yet, man. Bears are the craziest things to hunt because when you're not hunting them, they're everywhere. It's like squirrels. Bears and squirrels are kind of like elk and turkey. It's like when you're not hunting them, they're everywhere. Or if you don't have a tag, and if I don't have
Mhm.
a tag and I'm elk hunting somewhere, good night. I mean, they're everywhere. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Yeah, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And then when you get a tag the next year, you're like, all right, man, there was bears everywhere. I was covered up in them. You don't see a single one, man. It's so no bears yet. Got one elk, and yeah. So for big game, no bears, one elk. You know, yeah, and whitetails and axis and a bunch of exotics
Yeah.
and those random things. But
Axis deer are awesome. There was a ranch where I grew up. I lived in Central Texas for like 18 years, and there was a bunch of ranches out there that had axis deer and fallow deer and black buck antelope and a lot of exotics like that. And axis deer are just such amazing creatures. I think two of the most like animals that I've seen that I'm just like in awe about were axis deer the first time I saw one, and scimitar horned oryx. They are just, I mean, just beautiful. There was a ranch out heading out towards Dripping Springs. I used to build roads for Hayes County, and there was a ranch out there when we were heading out to Dripping Springs from San Marcos where they had some scimitar horned oryx, and just, I mean, absolutely magnificent creatures, and I mean, just gorgeous.
man, I love the hill country is it's beautiful, man. I
It
love that.
is. I
Gosh,
love it out there.
axis are so cool. Yeah, that's fun stuff.
Yeah. It's awesome, and Axis tastes, I mean, it's crazy how different Axis tastes than whitetail, in my opinion. I've had a few Axis steaks where I'm like, "Oh, this is, like, better than Wagyu that I've had," it's just it is a very lean meat, but it just has a slightly different taste. To me, I wouldn't say gamey is the word, but it almost tastes almost like a less irony taste, I guess, because I love venison in general, but Axis just has a it just seems like maybe a more complex, I can't even put my finger on it, but
Yeah,
it was really good. That
yeah.
and then Nilgai, my co-host will say he got a Nilgai on the King Ranch and, shared some Nilgai steaks with me, and
Heck
so
yeah.
good.
Man, I was on a hunt 2 summers ago with my buddy Jesus, and, I smoked an Axis, and the last day we were there, we were, like, finishing up and just heading back, and Jesus, like, he was just kinda we were all like, "Okay, well, we're about to head out," and he just kinda jokingly said, "Man, even if a Neil guy comes out right now, Imma smoke it." And it would no less than 2 minutes later, we see one just running across, and we're in the side by side. The guy slams on the brake. He pulls up his 300 Win Mag. This Neil guy is still running. He's at 140 yards, bam, and just folds him right there
Really?
and just cooked him. I mean, that doesn't
That's
happen with those guys.
insane.
Those things are huge. He
Yeah.
smoked him on the run. Jesus is a killer, man.
That's
He is
freaking
a
awesome.
hunter. One of the best hunters I know.
Really? That's
Just hammer
amazing.
that Neil guy. They were cool animals, man. Blue devils. That's what they
Yeah,
call them, blue
yeah.
devils.
And they're freaking huge, like, I mean, you see them in pictures and you're like, "Man, they got some shoulders on them," but to actually see one in person, they're like the size of a horse. Like, they're just massive animals. That and freaking moose. Oh my goodness, a moose. I'm from Alaska originally, and I've been back a few times, but the few times that I've gone up there, we've seen moose before. And I remember one time I don't remember where we were at. We were at some apartment complex, and me and my sister were outside, and there was a moose that had gotten in the gate of the complex. And that thing, it was the first time that I'd ever seen one up close, and I had no clue they were that big, just massive
Good man.
creatures.
I saw one once in Idaho when I was hunting. And when I was driving up to this place, I saw a couple and that was really cool. And then I get to the spot to hunt, and I'm sitting in this spot for an evening. And then I get up last light, and I'm hiking out, and start hearing one grunt. And or I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't like it wasn't like a weasel or an otter or a squirrel. I was like, this, I don't know what the hell this is, but it's a big animal. And then I was like, I wonder if that's a moose. And then sure enough, I followed it up probably 300 yards up this ridge line, and he comes out, and like just like you were saying, this thing is massive, just massive.
Huge freaking animal. So you said you got an elk. Where'd you get the elk at?
Just in Colorado near Montrose. Yeah,
Nice.
Fun
That's
hunt,
awesome. Was it
yeah.
a bull or cow?
Bull elk, yeah.
That's
Five
awesome.
by five by
Firearm or
four.
archery?
It was archery. Yeah.
Really? That's
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
That's so
Guy
cool.
was hard to go down. Put it in, lung and a half. I got him, and then he just had to put another one in him, but found him bedded up, and they are tough animals.
That's
Tough.
insane. How far in were you?
No, it wasn't really far. Actually, it was really. It was just a lot of luck.
Really?
Yeah,
That's
probably
awesome.
a half a mile or so.
See, I'd love to go on an elk hunt, but I mean, honestly, I don't know if I have the gall for it because I mean, I hear all these stories, and one of the friends that I grew up with in high school and stuff, we had him on the show, and he goes and hunts Colorado every year for elk. I mean, some of his stories is like, oh, we hiked 13 miles in. I'm just like, there's no way I would be able to pack out 1,000-pound animal with two other guys 13 miles in the mountains. Like,
Yeah.
I just don't think that like it sounds like an amazing adventure. I just don't think I would be able to do it. Like, I don't know how much help I would be. I would be useless after one trip, and having to make numerous trips back and forth. Like, I don't want to set myself up or set them up for failure like that. Just kind of being the weak link in the chain.
Yeah. This was private land, so it was like it didn't really count as an all-out elk hunt because it was like kind of too easy. Once we caught it, I mean, like these guys had like we had a truck and a trailer that like came right there. We used a winch and pulled them up, so it
Gotcha.
didn't really count, but
I would say
uh,
it counts.
it was yeah. It's still animal down. I still honored him. He's in here in my front room. His rack, cool animal, but I've been out west elk hunting every year since 2019. Other than that private land hunt, I haven't got anything, and it's hours and hours and labor and money and time. But I look forward to those 2 weeks every year more than anything else. Like it's a hard reset. There's no cell service. It's you disconnect from everything. You fight your demons. You dig deep. You break. You find the weak spots and just crush them. And like you know, 3/4 of the way through, you're wondering like, what the hell am I doing? Like this is stupid. But then you persevere that last little bit, and then on the drive home, you're like, okay, this was good.
Yeah.
This was good.
I bet there's a whole range of emotions you experience going through the hunt.
Which is crazy. It's
Man,
crazy.
that's amazing. So do you have any hunts coming up or any hunts that you would love to take that are like a bucket list hunt?
Yeah, so it's almost application season for the elk and big game out west. I'm gonna put in for a couple of states out west. And I'll see what I get. I'll take one of those, and that's gonna be September or October. But before that, I'm planning a late spring prairie dog hunt, which is gonna be pretty fun. Yeah, getting some buddies together for that. It's just an extremely social thing. Like you hang out and you're just sending rounds, like anywhere from 50 yards to 400.
Wow.
Just smoking these guys. The longest one I've got was 364 yards. Ranged him and is using a 6.5 PRC, so like super over caliber, and just too big of a bullet, but just 364 and just smoked him. but um, but it's that's a fun hunt. So I'll do that late spring. You're helping the ranchers too because they like a cow steps in there, they break their leg. You got to kill the cow. You
Yeah.
can't put a cast on them. Um,
Yeah.
and so it's big time rodent control. So that'll be um late spring. I may connect that to a bear hunt out west, either Montana, maybe Idaho, but probably Montana. Maybe do prairie dogs in Wyoming and then bear in Montana. This summer, probably some exotic stuff in Texas, probably axis deer, and then the fall will be elk and whitetail. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think if I had to pick one hunt right now that I would really love to go on, probably a bucket list hunt, probably be a pronghorn. I wouldn't care
Oh,
where. Just I would love to go on a pronghorn hunt. And I think there's a couple states that still have over the counter tags.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I've done one in my life, and it was such a fun hunt. I got the horns in there on the wall, and just such a freaking fun hunt. It was in northeast New Mexico with some of my best friends on their farm. They got a big cattle ranch. It was so fun, man. Cause I can do the mountains. Like I can do the work. Like I can put in those high miles and I've done it. I do it every year. But there's something about kind of like the rolling hills that are just in the warm weather that I love. I don't like cold weather. I
Yeah.
love hot weather and flat land and man. So pronghorn would be, if you can do one, man, do it.
Yeah, I think me and Jose are talking about hopefully trying to get together either next or well, I guess we're in 2026 now, so either sometime this year or next year and trying to get out and do it. We both really want to. So I'm hoping
You
we can make
guys,
that happen sometime soon.
I don't know the interstate. It's in Colorado, north to south, like through Walsenburg, Trinidad, right there, north and south. But everything east of that has a ton of archery over the counter archery tags and rifle tags. The hard part is access. So if you can get access, if you guys start calling, sending letters in the mail, just asking for access, I see them all the time when I go through it. Every time I drive through, they're always there. They're always there. So yeah,
Really?
yeah,
I'll
if you
keep
can
that in
find
mind.
some access, you'll get a tag.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to keep that in mind. Yeah, that's something that, neither of us have ever hunted outside of Texas or Arkansas. What I don't know if he's hunted in Arkansas. I don't know if he's hunted outside of Texas, but I've hunted Texas and Arkansas, and that's it. And I'll kind of want to get out a little bit more and hunt in different places. And I love traveling. I think I've been to like 30 states or something like that. But
Man.
being able to hunt in other states is something that I've never experienced other than, where I was living at the time, either Texas or here. And I've fished in quite a few places. I've fished in Alaska and I go down to Louisiana almost every year, and Texas and Arkansas and Missouri, Mississippi, Oklahoma. Like I've been all over the place fishing Florida, but hunting is a whole another beast.
Do you fly fish or do you know how to
I
fly
do fly
fish?
fish. Yeah, that's majority of what I do is fly fish. I
Oh
can't remember the last
man.
time I touched conventional gear.
Let's get together this spring. A buddy of mine from Wyoming he made me a fly ride.
Really?
I'll send you some photos. His name's Mark. It's a beautiful ride. I need someone to teach me how to use it. I went to Bass Pro, got a reel, got all the lures and everything, the leaders and all that stuff. I just need someone to teach me how to use the thing. Because I'll go
I'll
out there
happily
and,
teach
and
you.
do like I'll fish. I don't know, like Tom Sawyer or Peter. I don't know, Huckleberry Finn. And
Right.
but put a bobber on it and see how things. So
Yeah,
if
I
you
was actually out fishing today. I took a buddy of mine from Russellville out to go try to catch some pickerel here, kind of in Caddo Valley, close to Arkadelphia, and yeah, that's majority of what I like to do. Actually have a rod here in the corner that I need to build. I have the blank and I have all the materials. I just haven't actually started the process of building it. I've never built one before, and I want to, but I have all the stuff to do it.
cool, we'll do it, man. And
I
and
need
then when
to.
you build it, you can teach me. You can teach me how to fish and use it. I got one, and you can use
Yeah,
your new one. You can teach me how to use
absolutely.
mine.
Hey, I'll teach you how to do that if you teach me how to make knives.
Hey, I'd love to. I'll tell you all my secrets.
So how'd you get into building knives?
I'm just a farm boy, an outdoor guy. I love knives, and they're too expensive. The nice ones are too expensive, and cheap ones aren't worth the cheap money. And so I'll buy expensive knives just to support those knife makers, and I like their products. But I just wanted to figure out how to do it, make my own, and that was just kind of it. It's basically like out of like, man, I love this, but it's too expensive, so I got to figure out how to do it. So I started doing it on my own.
Man, dude, that's so freaking awesome. I've always wanted to learn how to make a knife, so sounds like a plan. I'll teach you to fly fish, you teach me how to make a knife, and we'll go from there. But man, I really appreciate your time. We're coming up on an hour, so we got to close it out. But thank you so much for hopping on with me, and for those of y'all watching to the end, we'll catch y'all next time.
This has been Wildlife Outdoors. Thanks for listening. Follow us on Facebook at Wildlife Outdoors and on Instagram at wild.life.outdoors. Let's go live life on the wild side.